A very warm welcome to all of you for this session. Today we will be discussing the causes of human trafficking. This is a part of BLE 031, which is a program Certificate in Anti-Human Trafficking offered by School of Law IGNOU. So when I talk about causes of human trafficking, you have to understand that a person who has been trafficked, his legal rights have been violated, his human rights have been violated, his constitutional rights have been violated, is a victim of trafficking and not a criminal. So the mindset needs to be changed. You are thinking of a person who has been trafficked and his human rights or her human rights have been violated, legal rights have been violated, then you cannot say that, he just wanted his human rights to be violated, or, he just gave consent. Consent for illegal activity is not a valid consent as per the Indian Contract Act. So you cannot consent, to be harmed. You cannot consent that somebody will bully you, somebody will slap you, somebody will beat you, somebody will torture you, somebody will inject, drugs and force you to do something. So you cannot say that, okay, due to my poverty, my illiteracy, my vulnerability, I have given consent. No. There is no provision wherein, even in the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, human trafficking has been defined and it clearly says that, you cannot give consent to be exploited. So when we talk about the causes of human trafficking, the first is demand for cheap labor, We know that there is a lot of demand for people or workforce. India is a populated country and we know that we have a lot of industries, factories, even the massage parlors and business houses, homes which needs to be run. So we need people to work as a house help. We need people to work in factories, in hazardous employments. We need people to work everywhere. Be it a company, be it an organization, be it an NGO or a government institution. So we need people to work. So if people are working as per the labor codes, we have 4 labor codes. So if people are working and getting minimum wages as per the labor codes, their, dignity rights are protected, then this will not be coming in, trafficking. Because if you violate that person's right, you force him to do something, you abduct him, you kidnap him, or you use force, fear, coercion, and then you want that person to work for you. He can be a beggar also. It can be in the form of beggary, it can be in the form of beggar. So you're forcing a person to work for you. Maybe, you are not justifying the labor codes. You are not talking about the Minimum Wages Act. You are not talking about different laws related to labor protection. So then it comes under human trafficking. So demand for sexual exploitation is also there. So when we are talking about the demand factors and the supply factors, we know that population is in India, and population is always a asset as well as a vulnerability factor, because a lot of people are ready to work for the same person, and then the employer can have a one-to-one negotiation in terms of the terms and conditions of work, and if that is exploitation, then it comes under human trafficking. So similarly, there can be a demand for sexual exploitation. We need mail order, brides. We need people for pornography. We need people for different illegal purposes, for sexual activities. Somebody wants to travel abroad or in India for a week, so they need a partner. Somebody wants to just marry and use that girl for selling that girl or, that child for future purposes. So it can be, for your pleasure in the massage parlor. So if you are doing these activities, then the law says that you are not a customer but a violator of law. So you have to be very careful that when you are, abusing somebody's dignity rights, then you have to be very cautious. Even, you cannot just see and forward porn, or you cannot visit the porn sites. You cannot see something which is illegal. So even if you have access that thing which is illegal, it is a crime. Then organ trade is also very important. People are trafficked for organs because of vulnerability. I want to earn money because I have to sustain my family. Maybe 3 times a meal is very difficult for me, or maybe a balanced diet is very difficult for me, for my family. So I want to sell my blood, or it can be my organ. So it can be my womb. So all these things are there, and there is a provision in law where you can, give organs to your relatives, but that is Organ Transplantation Act. So if you violate the provisions of the Organ Transplantation Act and the legal provisions, then you will be liable under human trafficking. Poverty is a big reason, we are not able to come out of the vicious circle of poverty. So in India, when we are talking about people below poverty line, and even the statistics where somebody is employed and somebody is out of job. So in terms of social security, are the schemes and programs of government of India reaching to that person? And if the schemes and programs of government of India are not reaching to the people of India, then the state has to implement the programs and policies in such a way that every person is able to achieve the benefits of the programs and schemes offered by government of India and the respective states. So there are a lot of programs offered by government of India and the states, but if they do not reach to the needy people, then they are exploited and they can be trafficked. Displacement can also be a big reason, because many a times, you are displaced from your place because of a natural calamity, or maybe, the job opportunities have gone. So a lot of people in India prefer agriculture as their mode of occupation. So if there is flood, if there is drought, then maybe you will like to shift to somewhere else. And if you shift and you're not provided with the proper governmental schemes and policies, then if you do not have, your sustenance means there, somebody, who's a cobbler or who is an artisan, if, you are moving him to a location where there are no population, then how will he manage his day-to-day earnings? So as per my capabilities, as per my occupation and my profession, I should be displaced. So if displacement happens because of natural calamity, because of floods, because of any, medical reason, or, a lot of times, in a particular area, a particular disease spreads. So if that is because of that serious disease which cannot be checked, and then you want to move from that area, or because your employment avenues, your safety avenues, or your dignity rights are in question and you want to move, or the government has come up with a scheme where the government wants to relocate you to a specific place, then you are displaced. So many times, your language, your community, your society also changes. Your soil also changes. So maybe, when I am displaced, I am not able to grow the same things which I used to grow there. So in terms of that, if training is not provided, if I'm not able to communicate with the other society people where I have been relocated, then how will I, involve or merge in the community, and how will I sustain myself? So this has to be taken into consideration. Then I just said natural calamity. It can be for any reason. It can be a man-made calamity. It can be a God-given calamity. So if any calamity happens, then definitely the case of human trafficking can happen there. Illiteracy, I talk about illiteracy in terms of the government, where, if you're able to read and write, then you are literate. So a lot of people are illiterate in India. And in terms of legal literacy, it is only 2% of legal literacy in India. So if you are illiterate, then you will not be able to understand and take the advantage of different programs and policies of government at the state level, at the central level. So here comes the role of the gram panchayat, gram sabha, and the people who are working there as medical officers there, so that they are able to bring the schemes of government of India in terms of medical, the panchayat, so that the welfare schemes are implemented at every panchayat level. And then also the people who are accountable as MLAs and MPs and ministers of that state. So you have to bring illiteracy, you have to handle the issue of illiteracy at your local level, because right to education is a fundamental right. Article 21A, free and compulsory education. We have right to education act also. So if people are only saying that we are illiterate, that has to reduce. So illiteracy rate has to be handled properly at the school level, and that is why government has come up with national education policy. Then unemployment, people are educated but they are unemployed. So we have to see avenues wherein your local traditions, your local culture, your local skills, and whatever was there in your family continues, so that you are not unemployed, because unemployment leads to a lot of issues. It can lead to poverty, it can lead to illiteracy, it can lead to malnutrition, it can lead to different kind of vulnerabilities. So organized crime is also a cause of human trafficking, because these organized criminal or habitual criminal really want people to work for them. So they need people to work for them, juveniles, children below the age of 18 years of age, as well as male and females. So if you are vulnerable, then you can fall prey in the hands of these traffickers. Begar is also a reason. Beggary has been prohibited. Begar is prohibited in India. So in Begar, you are working, or you're for so many generations you are working for a person, and that person has, maybe your ancestors have taken loan from that person, and now the entire second, third generation is trying to pay off that loan, and they are not able to pay off even the interest. So that can lead to human trafficking. Migration is also a cause of human trafficking, because as I just said, that migration can lead to human trafficking. You have to migrate, your soil changes, your language changes, then your culture changes, your skills are the same. So you need to update your skills, and you need to understand the local language of that place, the local need of that place. So you have to manage yourself in such a way that you are able to understand the relevance of your skill, your potential in that change dimension. So if you're not able to understand that and upgrade yourself, then there is an issue of unemployment. Lack of resources, yes, very important. Many people are still struggling for water, for electricity in villages. And there are a lot of desires also. Somebody wants to become a wealthier person, because we have seen social websites where, or networking sites where people post and say that this is their lifestyle. So my desires can be some possible desires, and some desires are very difficult to achieve in a limited period of time. So have I done my work to achieve that goal? So if I have a goal of a big house, then do I have that potential of earning that? Or do I have made my financial planning? If I have not made that financial planning and I want to go for different means to get that house, maybe illegal means to get that house, or for a particular thing, then that will not be justified. So Beggary is also there. Beggary has been prohibited in India, but still on every street we find beggars. And my humble request to all of you that please do not give alms to the beggars, because if you give alms to the beggars, you are creating a market for beggary. Because the traffickers who involve children, who involve ladies and men also in beggary, sometimes they drug the small newborn children, or tender age children at the age of 6 to 2 years. So they drug them just for money. Many a times they do not provide basic needs to these beggars. So do not create a market for beggary. If you want to give something, then educate somebody in your society. Give food items so that they are able to consume it and does not reaches to the trafficker. And at every every circle, it should be stopped and reported to the police. So if you are able to report it to the police officers nearby police station, then that will be the best contribution, because beggary needs to be stopped. Vulnerability is a big factor. I can be vulnerable in terms of my language. I can be vulnerable in terms of my caste, creed, religion, or ethnicity. So in terms of my financial status, so vulnerability can also be there. And then lack of infrastructure, because if I am not able to utilize the infrastructure given in a particular area, then I will not be able to come out with the confidence and break the vicious circle of poverty. So if I have the infrastructure and I have the resources, then only I will be able to study and justify my existence and live a life with dignity and worth. Then non-implementation of legal provisions. We all know that beggary is prohibited. Still we find that people give alms on the street. Then there is a lot of gap in the public distribution system. So people who are really taking care of the public distribution system at the village level, they should implement the programs and policy in a transparent manner, so that the beneficiaries of the policies and programs of government are the true beneficiary who really need those benefits for upliftment. And if the stakeholders are involved in the policy decisions, many times we find that the stakeholders who are implementing the programs and policies are not a part while making policy decisions. So if they share their practical difficulties, then we will be able to implement the programs and policies in a very positive manner. So as I just said, that if I talk about demand for cheap labor, then you have to maximize your profit, but at the cost of somebody's human existence, at the cost of somebody's existence and your human rights. No. So I can maximize my profit, but I cannot violate the law. So it has to be stopped. Brothels, hotels, massage parlors, gyms, sex tourism, porn sites have to be regulated, and porn sites are illegal sites. So somebody who knows about a porn site should immediately report it, and there is a reporting procedure on the government portal also. So when I say that there is a demand for organ, there is a law. So you have to abide by the law while organ transplantation, and the doctors and the staff have to maintain proper protocols to ensure that somebody's human rights and legal rights are not violated. Post-operative care is also there when I talk about organ transplantation. So if I am not able to take care of myself after my operation, then I will not be able to survive. I need proper nutritious diet and rest in medicines. So if as a laborer I have to work every day to sustain my family and I give my organ, will I be able to take care? Will I be able to take rest? Will I be able to have that nutritious diet? So then I will not be able to survive. So one has to understand that somebody who is giving the organ is, falling prey in the hands of traffickers, and there, the stakeholders should come and intervene as doctors, as medical professionals, as police officers, and as hospital management, and they should help the person in getting his basic needs fulfilled so that he is not trafficked or re-trafficked in the organ trade business. Poverty circle is there, and it is very difficult to break the vulnerability factor in case of vicious circle of poverty, because people are illiterate. Even if they are educated, they are not able to get the programs and policies of Government of India because of different vulnerability factors. So that factor needs to be addressed, and if we educate them, if we provide them proper training, and if we have, employment avenues as per their skills and as per their needs, then they will be able to come out of this vicious circle of poverty. And whenever displacement happens, you have to adapt to the needs of the new society, the new community, and many times it is very difficult. I don't know the language. How will I, adopt with the new culture? Then the scheme should be implemented properly so that people who are a victim of displacement do not suffer any kind of harassment and do not fall prey at the hands of traffickers. Natural calamity has to be addressed very soon, because if you reach out to the people immediately before the traffickers reach them, and you implement government and non-governmental schemes, then you will be able to protect them from the hands of traffickers and will be able to help and address the issues of vulnerability in case of natural calamity. Low rate of literacy should be handled properly, and reading and writing only in today's world is very difficult to fix in the literacy criteria. And if we implement the provisions of the Right to Education Act and fundamental right as Right to Education Article 21A, then we will be able to address the issues of literacy, and this is why NEP 2020 has come. Unemployment also needs to be handled. Education should be holistic as per the new education policy. It should be local, it should be local centric, and it should be employment centric. So we have graduates and postgraduates without job. So what kind of skill we need to develop in during the education, which will provide them educational opportunities as well as employment opportunities. The skills which are required, during the education process are very important, because if I'm not able to speak in the interview, if I'm not able to tell the interviewer that what are my, assets, what are my positive points, then how will I get the job? So you have to train people, you have to educate them in areas where there is demand for work, and the skills and the traditions and customs should also continue. So if you are able to continue the same profession as your family members used to do, then you will not be unemployed and out of job, and you will not have this issue of poverty. So if I am able to sustain myself and my family, and I live my life with dignity and worth, then I will have no issues. I don't have to travel from a rural place to an urban place. Why do people migrate? Because of education, because of lack of infrastructure, maybe because of employment avenues. So if we are able to provide all these, and the government have come up with very good schemes for all. So if we are able to provide job opportunities, educational opportunities, and safety and security at the local level, then why will somebody want to move from their home? So agriculture policies and programs also should reach the farmers. Training programs for farmers are very important, and agriculture institutes are doing that. Even IGNOU is doing that. So it is very important that you teach the farmer that this is the new methodology of farming. So organic farming can be done, and different kinds of help groups are there which can be formed and funded by the government programs and policies, so that unemployment is not there. So quality education is very important. You have to redefine the term education. When we talk about education, it has to be education as per the needs of the local people, in their language, in their formats, and you have to educate them at every level. At education at the village level, at the district level, and the state level. And people should be getting the best quality infrastructure at the village level, so that they don't have to change their ways. So it is very important that you provide education to all and link it with dignified job. Organized criminals are also there, so organized crime can be handled very strictly as per the new laws. So now we have 3 new laws in criminal law, so that can take, and the use of media, use of photographs, videos, use of technology and online can be there to check pornography and other issues. And the children who are using internet have to be very careful. You have to understand that the child is vulnerable, so you have to educate the child, and antivirus software should be updated so that the hackers do not have easy and safe access to all. So it is very important that if I remove the discrimination in terms of caste, creed, religion, as per the fundamental rights, and if I get the resources, if I am able to get water, infrastructure, medical needs, educational needs, then I will not be vulnerable, and anybody will not be able to traffic me. And if the programs of the government of India are implemented properly, at the village level, at the state level, then the vulnerability factor can be reduced. So these were the causes of human trafficking. Hope you have understood. Have a great day. Thank you so much.